It's time for Gardening Inside Out, a live show offering you plant advice for any space in your life. Introducing your perennial hosts, David Bates and Josh Carey.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It's time for Gardening Inside Out, your worldwide program about gardening, whether it's inside or outside. You can go anywhere in the world and you can reach us every Saturday morning and interact right here from the Green Room Studios at Base Nursery and Garden Center. Good morning, David Bates. It's wonderful to be
Josh.
back.
I was almost having a Three Amigos flashback.
I was about to. Where's Drew? Yeah. So
I got the downbeat on it. You know, and it kind of set the pace for all the goings on today. And we're really glad to have everyone joining us. And we're going to talk about what you've got in mind in your garden. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather and the changes that are right here ahead of us. Of course, today is August the 24th, and a really nice start this morning. Mostly sunny conditions. It will warm up today to 93 degrees, so it's a little warmer than what we've been having, but hold on. It's going to be warmer still. Sunday, 95, 67, 97 and 70 on Monday, 99, 72 on Tuesday. The century mark arrives on Wednesday, 174, 99, 74. So some of the hottest temperatures we've experienced. And of course, it's a bit on the dry side. Hopefully, these thunderstorm predictions by this time next week have some validity.
yes.
Because we've had this cool stretch with dry weather, but when you combine the dry conditions with heat, well, it's decidedly less conducive. So,
August, David.
So we will give a quick look at the radar, and we'll see that there's some coastal stuff. There's some stuff up here in Missouri, up in the Midwest, but we are dry. There's not a thing in the area, and that's what the weather forecast just reinforced. You know, there's almost no chance of rain for at least a week or thereabouts. We have managed to have 2/100ths of an inch of rain this week, 3,500ths for the month. We're still at about 34.5 inches for the year. It's currently 71 degrees.
Wow.
Here, live from the Green Room at Bates Nursery and Garden Center in Music City. We're glad to have everyone into Gardening Inside Out today.
Yep, they interact anywhere. YouTube, you can reach us on Facebook. There's multiple pages open, then you can join us anytime.
So where'd you go last week, Josh? You were
I went to a little slice of heaven for a gardener. Folks, the area called Door County in Wisconsin, which is bordered by the Green Bay on one side and Lake Michigan on the other side.
Is that Doerr?
Door, like door, Door, no, Door County, because you go from Sturgeon Bay to Death's Door at the north side, which is where a lot of the old ships on the big lakes, the inland seas, they call the Great Lakes, were lost. But every business, every home, it is the land of the hydrangea, by the way. I mean, more types and styles. Beautiful, clean, just amazing. Everywhere you turn, there's color. And conifers.
Remember, it's summertime, Josh. So
it is.
It may appear to be the Garden of Eden right now, but it gets really cold in the winter.
They're in 5. They're in their zone 5 there. They get cold, and they have beautiful. They grow cherries. They grow apples. They grow lavender, in farms. Of course, they make cheese. They make some cheese up there too, which is wonderful stuff.
Lest everyone think that this show is just about you and I.
Oh,
it may have started off that way years ago, but that's all changed because we have.
It's not all about us anymore.
People who are informed individuals, Austin Lowen has got the day off today, but we're welcoming in Adam Chapman sitting in for him, the general manager himself, along with Caroline Gant. Good morning, guys. Glad to have you in.
Morning, sir.
And of course, as always, live, Tyler Blankenship across the way. Tyler, thank you for getting us on the air.
He even has a sign that says he's live.
Good morning to you.
Yes.
So glad to have all parties on board today, and we're ready to talk about the things that are going on in your lawn, your landscape, your garden, be there success or perhaps difficulties. We're here to try to acknowledge and address all those things, and we bring a pretty good level of expertise to carry that message forward. So,
well, one of your
guys, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Thinking about plants,
Oh,
like always.
Oh,
yep.
We've got so much in at the nursery.
No, it's gorgeous out here. It's
Oh, it
amazing.
is.
Amazing.
Well,
Amazing.
with the work we've done over the course of the summer, and now we've kind of successfully made that transition back to what appears to be normal, or normal is a decidedly improved normal from what it was just a couple of months ago. So we're grateful to be on this side of it. I know I am anyway.
Yes.
I was kind of over resurfacing
For a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It looks great.
I'm just
Hopefully, we won't
over
have
that.
to.
We've really narrowed it down now. There's just not that much left to do. So we've taken old surfaces and
Resurfaced.
revitalized them.
Yep.
So we're glad for that, and we've still got a couple little projects to wind up, but we'll get those done here over the ensuing couple of weeks.
Well, one of the truths that you've always talked about, David Bates, is when you go on vacation in August.
Are we on a first and last name basis, Josh Carey?
David Bates. How are you? Okay. We are in a first and last name. If I knew your middle name, I would use all three of them. So
It's Leslie.
David Leslie Bates, listen to me. Okay. One of your truths, you're a dad. You know what's going on here. One of your truths about going on vacation in August came true at the proving grounds. I think I'm going to have to replace all 4 of my dappled willows.
Well, one of those traits, Josh, that you'll find is common throughout the salix species is their lack of drought tolerance. And of course, dappled willows being a salix, and they don't like dry. They do poorly in dry.
Well, I've got some green at the top, but not a whole lot.
Well,
I bet
just cut
it'll be
them.
fine.
Yeah, cut them way back. And
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can cut them back to the ground,
Pretty much.
and then just drench them every single day or every time you think about it. They will come back out.
If you wake up at 1 a.m. thinking about it, go
Go out there and water them. Okay.
Yeah.
What about, should I put some garden tone on around them when I'm doing this? Okay.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Very
They're
good.
alive. I killed mine right away because I put it in the ground, watered it once, and then never watered it again. I made the mistake of planting it at the bottom of a big hill, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to walk down that hill. I'll see if it survives.
I'm shocked.
It did not. It did not survive. But, now, there's an echo.
Echo.
Whoa.
Okay.
But I'd say we're ready to dive into some questions,
I think we are.
Are you guys ready for some?
I was born ready.
I bet you were, for plant questions at least. Right, we're starting with bagworms. What are some common places to find bagworms besides arborvitae?
Oh.
Any conifer. That's where you start. But they will go on literally any plant.
I will say, when we redid the houseplant greenhouse and I had to take all my houseplants out from the greenhouse, and I got bagworms on some Peruvian apple cactus.
Sure. Why not?
What? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's pictures on my phone from years ago, but I remember being like, what is this? I called Austin over. I was like, these are bagworms, right? They get on cactus? He was like, they'll get on anything.
I've seen them on brick walls. I mean,
Yep.
That's adjacent to a conifer. That's where because
Right.
Broadleaf evergreens and deciduous are they're willing to get on those, but they kind of are spillovers when there is a heavy infestation. They don't really seem to do much damage to things other than conifers. They will devour conifers, and they will
do it quickly.
Make short work of it. And I got that little experience about I guess it's been 6 or 7 weeks ago when I discovered that I got tied up in a project and did not pay close attention to a green giant arborvitae hedge that we have at the nursery, and lo and behold, there were some in the top of it. And instead of being able to take a more benign route, it did force me into having to use something that's a little stronger chemically to be able to successfully control the adults. Josh, we've talked for years about this Father's Day treatment, which that happens about the middle of June. And if you spray your conifers at that time, it doesn't really take very much. Probably even insecticidal soap is really effective when the bagworms are just at the crawler stage, just coming out. But you give them a little bit of time, and they build up that protective outer husk with the webbing on it. And then you got to use more heavy-duty chemicals. Permethrin is the primary thing that is used in this day and time, and it's indeed what we had to use on the hedge of them that we had to make sure that we got them knocked out. Actually, Adam and I were just talking about that before we went on the air.
Yes, we were.
We're seeing some regrowth coming back out of that. We caught it just in time, but not before we got a little bit of damage. So we got it done, but it's definitely one of those areas of concern.
Well, the most important thing, right, is just to be vigilant. Just walk in your garden every other day. Just walk out there and look at everything. And because if you go a couple of weeks, you're going to have an infestation on your hands if there is something there. And like David was saying, once an infestation starts, those what we call organic solutions don't work very well because they don't have the knockback power that a stronger chemical has. So,
and another thing, the companion pest I call with bagworms are spider mites.
Spider mites.
Oh yes,
I deal with those.
The same treatment will apply pretty much to both. But if that's the other pest you can have at the same time, or it's an either or kind of a thing. So be mindful that spider mites are also they're a little more difficult to identify. You almost have to place a piece of paper in one hand and smack down on the foliage above it to dislodge them, and they'll look like little periods moving around.
Not commas.
Tend to be black little mites from conifers, and then you'll know that you've got those, and those are equally important to deal with because they can just kill them if you don't deal with it. So.
Yeah, I've seen them take over houseplants really quickly. So we pretty much answered our next question, but somebody says, found some bagworms on my Japanese maple. Help.
Same thing, same treatment.
Same treatment.
Yep.
I mean, what do they do now?
Well, they're a whole lot easier to identify.
Just pick them off.
Pick them off. Yeah.
Right. If they're within reach, just pick them off. Throw them in a bucket of soapy water, and you're good.
Or Austin would say stomp them.
You know what's really fun to do? Is you take them between your and you can squirt them.
You can do that. Yeah,
that is so gross.
It is.
You can get some distance with the guts if you want, but that is kind of gross.
We have another question that just came in that we should probably get to right now. We actually got a live question. I picked an Arrowwood and a Wentworth viburnum a couple weeks ago. They are still in the pots, and the leaves are turning brown and defoliating. I assume that is normal for this time of year. I do have a popcorn viburnum that I planted in a pot this year that is browning and starting to defoliate.
I think
a little bit. It's getting dry, though.
Yeah, it's late in the year, and, it's just a matter of keeping them watered enough.
I have to water that guy.
Plants are really smart about knowing that timing, though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they really
are.
It's wild.
The big thing in the sky that is spending less and less time each day kind of clues them in to start shutting down. So
going to sleep.
Yeah.
Taking a nap.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's kind of coming up on dormancy. I mean, it's probably a little early, but it's been hot and dry. So,
Man, my dogwoods are starting to go dormant, and they look gorgeous right now.
Well, and cherry trees, ornamental cherries in particular, which are, it's not unusual for them to be devoid of foliage by early August. We got a little bit of a reprieve this year because we had good moisture going in to August, but now that situation is past, and they already look like it's fall
or winter in some cases.
Yes, they completely defoliate.
Well, I planted one about 3 weeks ago, and it's so happy that it finally got put in the ground and watered that it has a ton of new growth.
I would say the other
wrong time of year for that.
I would say the other plants in your yard that you haven't planted yet are looking at it and Jealousy.
You know, I bought a bunch of stuff last week, and I was like, I'm going to plant this when I get home. It hasn't happened. That mountain mint that I got.
They've been talking to each
I
other.
know. They've been talking. They've been gossiping about me, but let's stick on the tree topic.
Yes.
We have a question asking which tree is better for a front yard, overcup oak or honey locust? Your expert opinion would be appreciated.
Get both.
Yeah, sure.
One
if
of
you got
each.
room. Well, I would say, it depends on what you're looking for, but because the honey locust is not as long lived, doesn't get quite as big. The leaves are much smaller and probably easier in some ways to deal with, unless you have a pool underneath it. But the overcup oak will grow slower, but it will live a lot longer and get bigger. So it's depends on what you want to do with it. If you're thinking about your kids or grandkids later on, then plant the oak.
Plant the oak.
If you're thinking about yourself, plant the what was the other one?
Honey locust.
Honey locust, yeah.
I would be doing honey locust.
Gorgeous.
That would be mine.
Don't walk barefooted around it.
Ooh.
That's true.
Oh, they can
They
get
got
those
thorns.
feet. Okay. Oh, the evil thorns.
Yeah, well, there's some thornless ones out there.
Yeah.
That's what we usually carry here.
So come on
So-called
down and
thorns.
see us. Get you a tree today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Will lime Elysium survive a Tennessee winter? I have Florida Sunshine Elysium, and that did survive, but it did not look pretty.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is native to the southeast, but not necessarily Tennessee.
Yeah.
If we have a bad enough winter, you're gonna have damage.
I feel like 2022 would have killed it. 2023 damaged it
Right.
a lot. It didn't have a lot of leaves by the time spring rolled around, but they did make it through. I ended up transplanting them like I do with most of my plants, moved them to a better spot. But I love that plant. The
It's a
Florida
cool
Sunshine
plant.
is the
It
one
is
I've
really
got.
cool. Yeah, very bright, vibrant. It's cool. It's hard to resist.
It looks pretty tropical.
In terms
does.
of recovery, how much would you say it's grown back? Or is it the
It's not a fast
transplanting?
grower, or at least in my experience, it's not growing very quickly. But it looks great. I mean, we got little 1 gallons in at the nursery. I usually start small. I have to because I buy so many plants. I'd spend all of my money if I started big. It defoliated. It was about this big when I planted it. It's probably about this big now. I
Well,
got 3 of them.
it takes a lot of energy to create those big, thick, glossy leaves.
They're so gorgeous. I say do it.
But you also transplanted it, right? So that's with
So it's
transplanting.
with
still
transplanting and everything. As soon as I transplanted it and I put it in a new spot that was pretty much full shade, it was so much happier
Yeah.
because it was in a partial sun spot.
Don't give them too much sun because they'll burn. And
They were mad about it.
Yeah.
Same thing with my blue jay hydrangeas. Put those in that same spot and they were upset with me.
You just want to test plants, don't
They
you?
were not
You want
happy.
to test their
You know what?
boundaries.
That's how you know what to tell people about plants. I test all of their boundaries. I do it with my houseplants. I'm better with my houseplants because now I've learned a lot, but I used to love leaving them outside and seeing how long they could handle going into winter or putting things in the sun to see what they would do. But now I have, all this stuff to talk about that I know firsthand knowledge. Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
It's great. It's fantastic. All right. We're going to talk about clematis. Austin's
Sweet.
not here. But before we do, shout out to Carol who came into the nursery yesterday and she bought a cross vine a month or 2 ago. And she said her cross vine is doing fantastic.
Of course it is.
I know because it's one of the best plants.
It's better than clematis.
It is a little bit. So here's our clematis question. 2 clematis planted in shade just died. Was shade wrong? Are
Yes.
they dead?
Yes.
What do I do?
Yes and yes. you're
Yes and
saying?
yes. Should have been in sun.
You plant a cross vine there.
Yep. Well, crossvine will grow in shade.
It will.
Clematis
Won't
or
bloom as
clematis-
much.
And clematis or clematis, depending on how you want to pronounce it, they're one of these curious kind of plants that love sun on the top, but they like shade on the root system. So, you kind of got to plant them behind things that shade the soil, but doesn't block the sun to the upper part because they've got to have enough sunlight to be able to flower and bloom. And so that's just one of the things that needs to be kept in mind when you're planting those. And we'll get back more talk on that clematis or clematis. We'll also debate what's the correct way to pronounce that. But if you want to have success in growing anything, Josh, and I know you know this because you're an avid user of Earth Mix Garden product.
I wouldn't
And
use
we've been,
anything else.
We've been proud to be the developers and producers of Earth Mix Garden products for quite some time now. And Adam and I have worked closely together to
yes, sir.
Bring together this complete line of soils and amendments and a variety of other organic inputs to give you the very best growing medium for anything. If you want to do the one thing you can do, Josh, to be able to really improve the statistical probabilities of success in gardening, is planting with Earth Mix Garden products. And most things right now, say you were just doing any kind of landscape planting, trees, shrubs, whatever, using Earth Mix Landscape is the product that you want to use. That is the premium soil amendment, has all the best things, and it gives your plant all the necessary inputs that it needs in order to make the soil friable and productive. It also is highly fertile, and you won't need to fertilize for at least a month, possibly 6 weeks. So if you're using it right now, you wouldn't even have to fertilize through the rest of the fall season. Now, that's just one of the products, Earth Mix Garden, Proganics O, Proganics I is, of course, what Caroline will most often talk about, because that's the indoor version of Proganics. None of the products contain peat. All are 100% organic and naturally fertile. So you can get those all over the area. And that's not just in Middle Tennessee, that's also in Kentucky. Go out to earthmix.net, and Tyler, if you can get me over on the big board there, we'll show a brief little display of all the pins that are around the area. There you go. You can put your address in the address box here, or you can simply zoom in for turn-by-turn directions. You'll notice as far west as Idaho over in Meridian, Idaho, as far east as North Carolina over in Burnsville. We go on down into the Huntsville area in Alabama, and way on up into the northern part of Kentucky, up in Louisville. Great selection, more than 40 different carriers of the Earth Mix brand. All are professional horticultural organizations. We encourage you to support those folks, because they're going to help you get the best results you can possibly get by recommending Earth Mix Garden product to help you get your plants growing and doing their very best. We like to take the work out of it. We like to say success begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden products. And we appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that and to help you have the very best success possible in your gardening without using chemical things to make that happen. So if you're experiencing drought issues right now, much of that could have been mitigated had you used Earth Mix. And if you did use Earth Mix, you're certainly having less problems with those kind of things at this stage of the game. So keep in mind Earth Mix.
Absolutely. So I took it upon myself to talk about Earth Mix up in Door County, Wisconsin, David Bates, and I told the folks up there about the dealer inquiries tab that they could reach out. I talked to all the professionals that I talked to, because it would be the best. It's a target-rich environment up there for the Earth Mix products, I promise you. And they said, well, we're not going to ship up to there. I said, I bet they will. If they'll go to Idaho, we can probably get you some Earth Mix up in Door County.
We have made shipments to Michigan.
Yes. So it's
so Michiganders, hit us up.
Yep. So anyway, well, thanks for giving us a minute to talk about that. And so let's get back to it, Caroline. We were talking about clematis, as I like to say it. Some say clematis. Tomato, whatever you want to call it.
Clematis.
Yeah.
Well, I did plant one, a clematis, about a month ago, and it died.
Well, once again, I'm shocked.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Did you do that out of spite? Did you do that out of spite at Austin just to show them that there was difficulties with them, or?
I wanted to give another one a try. This is my third one, and they just don't like me.
Do you have a crossvine?
Yeah, I've got two, and they're amazing. They're doing great. But I said, you know what? I'm going to try this clematis because it's really pretty. It was very dark, very goth looking, and I
it
To be honest, with all of my plants, I did forget to water it.
Are you saying
when it got really
went
hot.
full goth and
It did.
just
Fully
died?
goth and just went away.
Gotcha.
Put itself in the darkness forever, if you will.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess their clematis might be dead. Do you think there's any hope?
So
That's what they were
the question
asking. Is it dead?
Yeah, we don't plant clematis or clematis, either one, in shade areas.
Yeah.
They need sun, but they don't need sun.
I mean, the only thing,
soil.
Hot feet.
right? That maybe they, if they wanted to, they could transplant with maybe the root ball and into a sunnier area. Maybe
It
there's
might
still
come
life
back.
in them. I don't know. Probably not. But
It'd be worth the shot, though, to try.
That's up
They're
to
not
them.
expensive.
I'm
to
honestly
replace
hoping mine
either,
is still a little bit
Yeah.
alive, that there's some life in there. All the leaves are, crispy and brown. But,
All the leaves are
There might
brown.
be-
Is the sky gray?
oh no, I knew
Okay.
that was about to
Not
happen.
today.
It's sunny and it's going to be a hot one.
Crispy.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a live question in from Joan. Joan is saying, speaking of soil, I planted pansies with spring bulbs in pots last year and all the bulbs rotted. What did I do wrong?
Well, probably a moisture issue would be my guess.
I would think the same thing.
We've had that happen. Well, my wife, my lovely wife, Rachel, who works in
Shout
the
out
office
Rachel.
here.
She does the show sometimes.
She
Fills in for
loves
Tyler.
Yes,
does
she
a great
loves to
job.
do bulbs, and it's hit or miss. And I think it's probably a moisture thing where it just stays.
It seems
too wet
like
in there,
it.
So
I've also gotten some before that just didn't like.
yeah, and sometimes it is
A quarter of them
it is
came up.
It is a viability thing where
Yeah.
where by the time you get them, half of the bag is
Dead
not viable
already.
anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
So
I always
you really
just shove
should
it.
inspect, if you're looking at a package of bulbs, you really kind of need to inspect them close to make sure they still feel
Firm.
firm and they're and viable. Maybe show evidence of having good sprouts at the top or the beginnings of it, because they can become desiccated in the bag. That means drying out, Josh.
I know that. I knew
But
that.
they can dry out in the bag.
You know that, you
and
knew
of
that.
course, conversely, they do not like to be. Most bulbs do not like to be in a wet feet kind of situation. So if you plant them in a spot that's kind of a low area that tends to hang on to moisture, it is a recipe for things
Yep.
likely going bad.
Struggles.
Well, see, I've noticed that some of the pots don't drain as quickly as others, so you might want to raise your pot up just half an inch if you've got some little,
Pot feet.
yep, and little feet, or we use little pieces of broken tile because we've got boxes of broken tile in the basement for some reason.
That sounds like my house.
Yeah, so but you just put them up underneath there to allow that water to drain out. It's helped me. So
That's a great idea, Josh. Oh. Well, not all things are sad and
No.
dying.
No.
There's still stuff blooming.
There is.
yes,
There's still stuff happening, colors around town.
What's in? Almost. With a
Adam.
Sweet. Yeah, so there's not really much change from last week's episode of What's in Bloom that Austin so energetically gave us.
Every time. Yep.
So, and I still have his list here, but I'm going to go by my list because I like to do my own homework, okay? I don't want to cheat, okay?
No cheating today.
So obviously the biggest shower right now is still crepe myrtles everywhere. They're just gorgeous.
It's still not blooming.
So I've even seen some Vitex that's rebloomed. At my house, I've got one that's blooming. The panicle hydrangeas, we talked about those last week, and I know we'll talk about it. But we've got some behind us here. The puffer fish, which is a new variety, really cool variety. And all the other ones that are blooming right now. And even some reblooming macrophyllus hydrangeas are still kind of hit or miss, but you'll get some blooms. We planted a eclipse.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hydrangea.
and that thing bloomed forever, and it's actually about to bloom, set bud again and bloom again.
Really?
Yes,
that's
Josh is jealous right now.
so it's
man.
awesome. That thing is awesome.
That was
I must have
quite the
planted
growl
it
into
in
the
the
backyard.
perfect spot.
I didn't.
How
Well,
much?
there you go.
Okay, just gonna
Sure.
sidetrack a little bit.
Sure.
How much sun does your gifts get? Like
Okay,
direct
so
sun?
where I've got it is on the northwest corner of my house. So
Okay.
it gets morning sun.
That's exactly where mine
and
is.
then in the middle of the day it gets shade,
Uh-huh.
but then by the end of the day it's getting a little more sun through the trees, dappled sun. So
Gotcha.
it seems to love where it's at. So
Josh.
Mine is in a similar spot, by the way, and it's getting. I mean, it's done really well. So, but pretty much that dappled light situation. It doesn't. We might get a smidge of morning sun, but it's more or less a dappled sunlight situation. Other hydrangeas that are nearby,
It does not
other
mind it.
shade-loving plants all do well. So yeah, it's a really nice plant, and it's, of course, the first year we've had that one.
well,
so,
and I think I told this already, but Rachel bought it while the eclipse was happening this year.
Oh, wow.
Like literally
It's
as
a
it was
magical
happening,
one.
she-
That's
she
why
bought
yours
it.
is blooming
Yeah.
again.
So some other things blooming. Abelia. I've got some Little Richard Abelia at the house.
Buy
Is
now,
blooming.
Abelia later.
Exactly. And other varieties like Rose Creek, Canyon
You
Creek.
love that one, I feel.
Rose
like.
Creek's a great one.
Yeah.
It's a great plant. Butterfly bush, which we also have in studio this morning. Obviously all different colors are blooming around town
Yes, they are.
continuously. Black-eyed Susan, which is Austin's favorite.
It
Those are
is. He
blooming.
loves it so much.
Yep.
Wait till he sees my yard next year.
Ooh.
Well, the native ones are blooming everywhere and in people's yards. The goldenrod is also starting to come out, and I think I've always mentioned this when I mentioned goldenrod, but that is not what is giving you hay fever.
Nope.
No.
It's what you are seeing. What you are not seeing is the pigweed, the amaranthus that's blooming. That is what is giving you, a bad case of hay fever. Sweet autumn clematis, obviously we talked about that. That's starting to bloom. Ironweed is blooming everywhere. That purple, tall purple.
Yeah, you see
perennial.
it all in fields on the side of the roads here.
And we do carry that. So it's a great summer, late summer bloomer. So, and then if you have taken care of your summer annuals, as in a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago, you pruned them back and fertilized them. You've probably got some really nice looking ones right
Lantana.
now. Yeah.
Austin's other
So-
favorite, zinnias.
Yep.
Zinnia.
Zinnias. Oh, that's his favorite. Yeah.
Oh, he loves
So,
them. He plants them all around his house every year.
I did plant some bat face. What's it called?
Bat-face?
Cupra,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Okay.
That thing is done
Hummingbirds
really,
love
yes,
those.
and
Yeah.
that's done really well in the pots on my porch. So
Are you talking about this?
Oh,
This is what Austin loves.
Is that from Austin's garden or is it someone else's?
Oh, it could be from mine.
Oh,
I think it's from Josh's garden.
Is that the little Thumbelina zinnia, the small ones?
It came out of the pack.
Ah.
They got a mixed pack, and
Yeah.
I
A
started those.
seedy surprise.
I started those from seed in the basement. So I mean, that patch is about 6 feet across. It's glorious.
I love zinnias.
Let's also look at Caroline's
There's my
Coleus.
coleus. So last week I was talking about it and I said I'd get a photo because it's like a shrub. And look at that shrub.
it's a monster.
It's a monster. And it's goth. It's like the eclipse hydrangea that we talked about, those black
Exactly.
leaves.
Look at those hydrangeas in the background.
Oh, yeah.
those
That's my
hydrangeas.
little tree form hydrangea. And then we've got the Hahatonka little blue stem grass that's about to be in full bloom right there behind that blackberry lily bloom.
And is that the crocus in front of that, or
No.
Kangaroo paw?
crocus. No.
No?
Nope, that's the blackberry lily. That's blooming.
the lily?
It just
Out of
peeked into the
focus.
photo.
Yeah.
It said, hey, I want to get in here. But yeah, I was talking about my coleus last week. I said I'd bring in a photo, and there it is.
There you go.
It's like a wall of darkness.
Well, the black bear lily is aptly named because black bears, hey, I just want to get in there.
I just
when
wanna
they
get in.
when they look at your vehicle outside of your cabin, like they did when we were in Gatlinburg this year.
Oh, that's right. There's been a lot of bears in Gatlinburg. I mean,
Yeah.
I did say blackberry lily, but
Well,
also
okay.
black bear works too. I
They
like
just-
that.
They just want to drive. They want to
They
be
just
like
wanna
us.
go for
you
a
know?
drive.
You left
They wanna
that piece of
walk
gum
like you, talk like you.
yeah, they want that piece of chewing gum that you left right there on
Well,
the
I
dash.
didn't.
Okay.
Luckily, I didn't leave anything in there
Yeah.
because I knew.
It would have gotten in there and gotten
Yeah.
it. But blackberry lilies, these are really cool plants. I didn't know anything about them, and I bought a seed packet here at the nursery and just gave it a try, and then I forgot I had planted it. And I knew it was something when it came up, and then when it started blooming, I was like, that's exactly what it is. But the seed pods, once it goes to seed, it looks just like blackberries. It's
cool.
shiny, the flower is cute and gorgeous. You got a little peek of it in that photo. I pointed to
Cool.
the monitor. Great. Let's stay on the flower topic, shall we?
Okay.
A lot of flower questions
Feeling
this
it.
morning. Should I remove spent zinnia blooms? If you want, it'll rebloom. I usually, this time of year or a little earlier, I will cut back all those spent blooms. For one, they don't look great, but also it'll promote new blooms lower in the plant. And then towards fall, getting close to it, I start to leave them up. So then they can go to seed. They make food for the birds in the winter, and then it reseeds itself. I just let it stay. And then late winter, very, very early spring is when I'll come in and clear it all out. So that's really up to you, but that's my method with my zinnias. I bet Austin does the same thing with all of his.
He does.
He does. Yeah, all the ones he has.
All around his house. It's crazy. He has all the varieties. All right, fall flowering shade perennial ideas.
Fall flowering?
Fall
For shade?
flowering
Well,
shade perennial ideas. Lobelia, that's one. Windflower, I have those. Mine are not blooming quite yet, and they're in almost full shade, and they are covered in buds right now. Yeah. Those are the only two that are coming to mind right now.
That are fall blooming.
That are fall blooming shade.
Yeah.
Fall blooming shade.
I mean, hostas sometimes will have blooms.
Mine are
into the
still
fall,
throwing
but-
up blooms here
yeah.
and there, but
So,
The little spidery looking ones that come up there, they seem to do well.
spiderwort.
Well, it's on a hydrangea. I saw some of them up in Door County. So, but they look to be almost like a surprise lily to the point. But
spidery looking.
I'll
Sounds
put
like-
together a collage of pictures and put them up.
Yeah,
on the
it sounds like
Facebook
spider
page.
lily or Traitscanthia, I think.
Well, the
Traitscanthia.
plant identifier on your phone is never wrong. So
Correct.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
never
Correct.
wrong. But I guess those are our top, those two. But Windflower,
Sure.
I love that one. That one is low maintenance, looks great, leaves are always clean. My husband did chop one down, so it never came back. Weed eated that to the ground. It's a theme at my house, and that's okay.
Death?
Death.
Joyce says
Theme.
anemone? Question
Yep,
mark?
Windflower. Yep, that one's great. Yes, Joyce. Yes.
Very
Joyce,
good.
do you have that one? Let us know. Let us know how it's doing if you do. Oh, Turtlehead. Mine is still not quite in full bloom.
Yeah, that's another one. 'Cause
That's
what
another one.
That's what I thought that was when I first walked in here.
It does have that like growth habit.
Yeah.
It does look like that a lot.
Oh, another
Do you
one
want
would
me
be,
to
would
show
be,
the lobelia?
anemone. Anemone is another fall blooming perennial for shade.
Yeah.
That was another one. So.
What was that time?
Do you want me to show the lobelia or wait?
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's let them wait for it.
All right.
We did get a question about hellebore. Someone is asking why their hellebore is like flopped out and the leaves are starting to turn yellow. I mean, the laying out of the old leaves is what mine does every year at this time. They just kind of lay down on the ground. take it a
Yes,
little
it's
nap.
not their favorite time of the year.
No.
No, it's not. It's hot.
Yeah, they're doing their
Where you roll around though, and they're pretty spectacular.
yes.
So they're,
yes.
they don't like August. They're just not that much of a fan.
Mhm.
You know,
No, they're not.
August, and they won't get better in the coming week with the forecast we gave at the top of the show. We're going to have a warming trend for the next several days, and it's just one of those things that brings gardeners to the thought that how great it is that in this day and time we have container grown plants, Josh.
Yes.
Plants can have success in being planted no matter what time of year it is, providing that you provide the right things. And of course, we talked a little bit earlier in the show about soil amendments. And of course, watering is another one of those things that is imperative to have success this time of year. Actually, I think people who are serious gardeners tend to have less problems planting things right now, simply because watering is so much in mind. Now, if you're going on vacation, you might want to reconsider about planting right now. But if you're going to be there to take care of things, it's a really good time. As a matter of fact, especially if you're a Bates Rewards member,
Yep.
it's a perfect time because we've got things going on. We're winding down the last full week of August, and we've got sales going on that, I'll just tell you, they won't last.
Nope.
Nothing lasts forever, and August will not be the exception. This time's going to get by us, and we're going to take August and send it out in the correct fashion here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. If you're a Bates Rewards member and you know who you are, you're going to receive 25% off everything. Now, gift cards and deliveries are excluded from that, but everything else are included. Everything you see here in studio and everything out on the lot, and that includes all soils, mulches, everything. But with the ending of this next week, so too will this sale. So if you're thinking about doing some planting, it's a really good time to get out and do it and save some money in the process, because we're going to show you how to do it and do it successfully, and to be able to help you get those things in the ground. But not only that, help you to get the right plant in the right place the first time, because that's the way we do it here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. We are horticulturalists. We don't do anything else. This is, we weren't working in, well, with the exception of Adam and me, we weren't working in plumbing last week. We do a bit of plumbing, but it's not for others.
No air, no air
keep
filters.
All these plants looking their very best. And another thing that we do is, I've got this newsletter that I put out every week. And if you check out our webpage here, it's by the way, our newly revamped webpage. You can check out the newsletter. You can search our entire inventory online, and you can see all that at batesnursery.com and find out the latest of what we've got going on for the coming days. Horticultural things you need to be mindful of that are timely with the season, and to help you have the best success in whatever you've got. So, as I mentioned, this week we've got 25% off everything, excluding gift cards and deliveries. But other than that, it's a great time to save on all those things you've been contemplating. He or she who hesitates is lost with respect to that. So don't hesitate. You got this coming week through the end of business on Thursday to take action on that. So check it out at basenursery.com. Our selection of material is impressive at all times, and this certainly is not the exception. Search all that online, see what we've got on hand, and be amazed at the amount of information that there is available right here on our website. Just say trees, for instance. You can bring up the trees and all the different types of trees, whether they're Tennessee natives, which is, of course, a favorite category of many. Everything we have that are natives are all available right there. And even though we're not a, quote, natives specialty, we probably have as much or more natives than anyone, simply because of the vast selection of plants that Julie Patterson, who is our buyer, she's just a phenom, and she keeps us in store on not just natives, but everything you can think of, vines, shade-loving plants, all the things that you might not be able to find in any kind of numbers elsewhere. We do have them here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. So come out and see us. We are conveniently located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. That's just minutes from Rivergate, Opry Mills, Nashville West, downtown Nashville. And Josh, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. Nope. It is worth the drive from anywhere. So you're going to get to see a selection and a collection and an array of plants here you will not find elsewhere. And more than that, we have the expertise to go with it. All trained horticulturalists on staff every day. Bates Nursery and Garden Center are open currently Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And soon we will be resuming our Sunday hours. So that's not just yet, but it's coming soon. So check it out. BatesNursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. And we appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that and all the things we do here at Bates to help you grow your garden its very best. So, and one final little thing. It's the last week coming up for Best of Nashville voting. So, we're very privileged and very fortunate to have been voted Best of Nashville 20 times, the last 15 consecutively. So, but you know what?
What?
We still appreciate that little accolade, and we anyone who's willing to take the time to vote for us through the Nashville scene, we certainly are appreciative of that. There are links in the newsletter if you received that, so check that out. And thanks again for tuning in and helping us be a Nashville tradition since 1932.
Very good.
So that's it.
Wonderful.
Very good. Got more questions?
We do, but before we get to questions,
What's in room with Caroline?
let's talk about all the stuff that's surrounding us right now. And we will finally get to that plant that we've been discussing on and off all morning. But let's start in the corners right above my head. We've got Carl Fuchs cedar. So I got one of these.
Carl what?
Carl Fuchs. Fuchs.
Fuquet?
Be careful.
I will.
So this was my Christmas tree last year. I buy a different little tree each year, and now I'm going to have a great expensive forest one day in my front yard. I love this plant. I call mine Carl Forks because the top died, so it's going to fork out a little bit because I didn't water it and I didn't plant it for a very long time. Shocking. But now it's very happy in the ground. It's going to look great all winter long. And then underneath the TV, we talked about these a little bit already, but we've got pufferfish hydrangea. Look at them. They just came off a truck this week. They are gorgeous in full bloom, but they still have some buds, so they'll bloom a little bit once you get them home. Get you some hydrangeas.
Yes.
They're Austin's favorite. Other than zinnias, of course. And in front of us,
And crossvine.
Yeah. We've got some ferns. I brought some ostrich fern in this morning. This is a great little Tennessee native fern.
It's a big one, too.
It's huge. They get giant. I have them planted in a couple different spots. Never killed one at my house. They seem to love it. And then we've got a Japanese painted fern. If you see that color contrast right beside the ostrich fern, look at those. Side by side.
It's one of my favorites.
Fern bed. Yeah, I might need another one. I already have one. And then we also have this arborvitae fern that Adam was just touching. Let's go.
Stop.
There. This actually, I don't believe is a true fern. We just call it a fern.
Yeah.
But it looks like an
arborvitae either.
And it's definitely not an arborvitae either. The leaves on it. Look, if you
Foliage is so fun.
zoomed in like that, you're like, I'm looking at an arborvitae. Then you zoom out and you say, wait a minute, I'm looking at a fern, but you're not really
It's
looking
not
at
that
that
either.
one. And then we've got some heuchera. Where is that heuchera, Tyler? Can you find it? Berry smoothie. I talk about this every fall, but these are some of the plants I use in my fall planters
Look at that
on my
color
porch that get
and
shade. It's
texture.
just stunning. And mine on my protected porch that doesn't get direct sunlight, my heuchera stays happy, stays up through the winter, and then in the spring I plant them in ground. So I'm starting a huge heuchera collection at my house. And then in front of the table, I don't know if we can see it, we see one little bloom popping up. We've got Miss Molly butterfly bush.
That's a
If
good
you
one.
were in this room,
That's a good one.
you would be like, it smells so good. It is a good one. Thank you, Adam. I picked the best one to bring in this morning. But look at those magenta blooms. I mean, they're going to attract pollinators like Adam talked about on What's in Bloom. They're in full bloom right now. Wow. Look at that slow
wanna
pan
say
that
that
Tyler was doing.
Buddleias have been the most improved category, genus of plants, I think over the last 5 or 6 years anyway, because they were okay. They just got way too large, and they've done a really great job, Josh. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're much more many, I would say, compact growing varieties. Now the flower size individually is not as large, but what you get are many more, and you get plants that are manageable. And for most people's landscapes, having something that doesn't get 5 or 6 feet tall and wide
Or bigger.
it just completely overgrows most areas. So it's a really great improvement in that species of plants is in the Buddleia.
Yes. And I know you guys have been dying to know what is our feature plant today. Oh my gosh, we've got lobelia in the room.
Lobelia.
We made a jingle for it yesterday.
Okay.
Were you guys just blown away?
You just stole an auto parts jingle.
We borrowed it.
We don't know what you're talking about.
We borrowed it. What are you talking about? Tyler and I went to town. It didn't even take us that long to do it. I sang it to Tyler while I was putting these plants in, and then we said, we got to make a jingle for our plant feature. So there you go. You have one of those to look forward to every week. when we're not in
work went
busy
into it.
season.
It'll be sampled all across the world. I can promise you that.
But this is our feature plant today. I was talking to Celeste about this. They had come off the truck. Neither of us have this one, so we were both like, well, maybe we need to get this to put it, in our native beds. It's a native plant. Here in Tennessee, these like a little bit more sun. The tag says full sun, I meant to say shade, but I'm going to put mine in my kind of dappled shady bed to see how it does. But that's what we have in room today. Glad you guys got to go on this journey and hear that little jingle with us
It was something.
that we made just for all of you. Thank you.
It was.
Grow,
It was
man.
definitely something.
Oh, yeah. We've got a reel coming with that as well. But let's get back to some questions. We got some live ones in. Jane brought it back around to zinnias. She says, I repotted zinnias 2 weeks ago, and now I have poison ivy looking rash on my arm and hand. Does this plant cause rashes? I've been gardening with zinnias, not wearing gloves, for like 2 decades, and I've never gotten a rash. They do have a sap that I guess could irritate your skin, but I don't believe they're toxic. So maybe you got into some poison ivy, perhaps?
Maybe, or maybe that's just individually you are sensitive to whatever
it.
they've got.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, but I've never had an issue with it. Yeah. That's the only downside to zinnias, I guess.
might have to wear the long sleeve shirt.
Oh, the gardening. Yeah.
yeah,
the
gardening
arms.
sleeves. You know,
Wear some gloves. Yeah, protect yourself. And then Miriam asks, when should I prune spirea for next
Miriam.
year?
Hello,
I want
Miriam.
more
Hi, Miriam.
blooms. Good morning, Miriam.
When should you cut
3:30?
spirea?
Prune spirea.
Well, a lot of spirea, if not most of them, are
Done.
you know,
They're already done, aren't
yeah,
they?
they're done, and they bloom on. A lot of them bloom on previous year's growth. So depends on which one. But certainly, I mean, if you're going to do it, I would do it now. I wouldn't wait much longer because you
Can you hear that,
Really
Miriam?
should've done
Finish
it.
the show. Get out there and prune them.
Should have
Yeah.
done it about a month ago.
Yeah, I
actually.
should have done it about 3 weeks ago. But I mean, there's probably still time for them to flush and
Since they're
be
spirea.
okay.
and all.
because they're spirea, they're very tolerant of frost and freeze and that kind of thing.
So get on out there, Miriam.
But I would do it soon.
And then Kimberly asks, what is a good flowering shrub that does good in full sun? I want something that spreads out and takes up space.
Abelia, which I just mentioned earlier.
You love
is a
Abelia,
great
Rose
one.
Creek Abelia,
Yep.
your favorite.
I see them everywhere, and there's so many different varieties.
Yeah, it's a
Yep.
happy looking plant. Looks low maintenance.
Yeah, well,
Semi broadleaf, so they'll retain much of their foliage unless it's a hard winter. So they do give you some interest into the winter season more so than most things that are straight up
Flowering.
deciduous that drop everything. And you also get flowers. They got nice looking foliage also. So there's a lot of benefit to that. The buddleia that I talked about earlier. Also,
yep.
are really great for full sun. You get a lot of flowers. However, they're straight up deciduous. They're going to, as soon as you get a killing frost, they're going to be devoid of everything.
Yep, that will happen.
Or the pufferfish would work too if you didn't mind it losing its leaves too.
Oh, yeah, that would be good as
Just
well.
don't eat the liver on the pufferfish.
Don't
Correct.
do it.
No.
Do
Correct.
not do it. Hey, Tyler, we do have some listener photos. I don't know if you're ready to bring them up.
Yeah, I'll get those ready in just a moment.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get in a question while we're working that. My sweet corn is growing well this year, but recent storms and wind have played havoc with the stalks. What measure should I take to have stronger and more upright stalks? My fertilizing this year was slow release nitrogen and garden tone.
Welcome to the world of
Corn,
farming.
Austin's favorite.
I would think that there's not a lot that
Not
you
much
can
else
do.
you can do. I mean, unless you want to buy some individual
Corn steaks?
Steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things about planting corn is you're better off to plant those in a kind of a square type of where they're about as wide as they are long row wise. And that tends to protect the plants somewhat from the ravages of wind because
Straight
they
line.
all, at least it'll give you more plants in a more concentrated area. Also helps a lot with respect to pollination because
Absolutely.
they're much. If you have one row of them, you're just not going to get any corn unless you go through it hand pollinate all those. Much better if you've got them in a tight block
Square.
where
yeah.
they have wind can also pollinate in addition to bees and whatever. So those are things to keep in mind. But they are susceptible to wind, and we get those, and no one who has ever grown corn has ever evaded it. There are varieties, and I can't call them off the top of my head,
They're much
that
shorter.
are not so tall growing, and they're a whole lot more resilient to that than some that get, 7 or 8 feet tall. They just are long whips.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. That's why I stopped growing corn. Said no more. I'm tired of watching you fall down.
I mean, to me, if you're going to grow corn, it takes a lot of space. I mean,
It really does.
You have to grow a lot.
And honestly, the return is not worth it for me. But you know what is worth it? This photo that Jeannie Justice sent in that I think Tyler's pulling up right now. Jeannie says, I have a couple photos from our Monarch Way Station garden located at the Highland Rim Research Center in Springfield. It was installed by Master Gardeners in Robertson County and maintained by the same group. We are pretty proud of what it looks like just a few months after installation.
Right,
Are those zinnias in there?
I believe they are.
Okay.
Zinnia is the theme today, Josh. Wow. Just
too
one
bad.
of the best.
Too bad
The
Austin's not
biggest
here.
fan of that flower could not be here for all this zinnia talk. But Jeannie, that looks fantastic. That's amazing.
Really
Great.
does.
Is that a central
gorgeous photo.
compost pile right there, or is that just a raised bed?
Looks like a raised
Jeannie,
bed.
let us know.
Well,
Let us know what it is.
that's probably a mile from my house as a crow's flies, probably.
Well, they've got it mulched beautifully, too.
The question is,
so-
do crows fly between your house and this garden?
Oh,
That is a good question.
that's a great
I don't know.
question. I wonder.
Looks,
But I love that. I want to go there.
yeah.
I want to go walk around there.
Really?
Yeah, I think I spoke to them a few months ago, back in the spring.
Look at
I
that
think.
bud lip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
That's a happy garden. Great
Looks
work.
like it might be a lo and behold variety. That's what I guess.
Oh. And then we got in some photos from Colin. We're going to take a little turn here. Colin is a little bit upset, not with us, but he says, y'all, I'm freaking out. I bought a Uaishi Japanese maple 3 weeks ago. I was watering it deeply once a day until I planted it, still watering. I missed literally one watering and now all the leaves seem to be falling off. What should I do? It's in a spot where the hostas, the painted ferns, the heucheras are doing fine in their pots. Some of the leaves are fine, but it seems to be a progressing problem. The buds are green after the leaves fall off. I'm still watering it every day. Help.
Well, first, I would say just, relax. It'll be fine. I would strip all of the dead leaves off and just keep doing what you're doing, regular water. I mean, you don't want to overwater them, but
I don't know that daily watering is necessarily a
right.
good thing.
right, you do.
Twice a week, very deeply,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. So it might be that you have to back off on the watering. It's hard to know for sure without actually being there, but for sure, strip all the leaves off that have been affected. And as long as the buds stay green all the way up and down, it'll be fine. It's close enough to fall in dormancy that they'll probably just go into dormancy and then come out next year.
It's
So.
not unusual to see them reflush new foliage at this time of year when you
Correct,
strip
yeah.
off that old foliage. So,
Right.
some of it is just that they don't like it in August. The day length is changing, and it's, we're going to move back into hotter conditions. So strip those off.
Okay.
There's a really good chance you're going to get some regrowth of new
Collins
flushes of growth,
yeah.
and it'll look nice through the fall season.
Collins provided a little bit more information on YouTube channel. He says it's not planted yet; it's still in a pot. I think your advice is going to be the
That's
same.
why they're
Yeah.
ready to
Yeah.
water.
That's exactly what happened to one that Tyler gave me that's still in the pot on my driveway. It defoliated. I knocked off the rest of the leaves and now it's flushing back. And it's doing great. So, Colin, you don't have anything to worry about. You're doing fantastic. You've got it. Let's get in a couple more questions before we come to an end. Can I plant kale seeds now?
Sure.
Kale seeds, yeah, sure.
Is
Still
now the
warm
perfect
enough.
time to do it?
I think it's getting pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. Would you wait? Would you do it now? Should
I
I have
would-
done it?
Well, I mean, considering we're not getting a whole lot of rain right now, I mean, you're going to have
You're going to be out there watering
You're going to
it.
have to supplement the water, but yeah, I mean, we're going into the cool season here in, another 6 weeks. So
Get you some growing, man.
Yeah.
Just some growing. And then somebody says, I have volunteer pumpkin vines coming up.
Cool.
It blooms and they fall off. Any suggestions?
probably need some fertilizer.
Fertilizer?
Fertilizer.
Probably
I
some
mean, are they getting pollinated?
garden
Just
tone.
make sure that you're getting male and female blooms.
Correct.
Sometimes you'll just see male, and you need the female.
Maybe it's time to just fly blossoms and eat them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
True.
Pumpkin
That's
blossoms?
a fantastic
Okay,
idea.
I've never thought about that. But yeah, a little panko. Oh, my goodness gracious, it would be good. All righty, folks. Music means that we've got to get out of here for this edition of Gardening Inside Out. But, ladies and gentlemen, next Saturday morning from 8 o'clock here in the Middle Tennessee area, so that's the central time zone, you can time shift us anywhere because the broadcast is up on the YouTube channel all the time, and you can see them there. Look for the podcast during the week. Hey, like, share, tell the whole world about it, and hey, we'll see you next week right here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. See you then.
Go,